What's up, Tamika? What's up, Compton?
Hey, good night, guys.
Good night.
Yeah, good night. Good to see you, Tamika. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Look who brought us together.
You know?
I know, right? Very unexpected.
Yeah.
The countdown is on. Come on, y'all excited? Tamika, you share ready to your pitch?
I did.
Good.
Awesome. So, hey fam, it's Hey Fam. Your family, we're family. Let's talk.
Yeah, let's do this.
Right, man. Thanks for everybody who's logging on. Thanks for all the support. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Do what you do, right? This is the first time we're doing a forum like this. It's 2021. It's a new year. Just to give you some context as to how we came to this point. It was the inauguration where Amanda Gorman said her poem so eloquently, and it just galvanized this whole thought of not just how awesome she is as an artist, but kind of how did she get to this stage at 22, right? And some people kind of just think, like, where was she before? And I know, out in the audience, that she was in her process for a while. She didn't just arrive and get to that stage, right? So tonight we're going to be talking about maximizing moments. I got to give a shout out to my brother Compton, phenomenal artist who reached out to me after me doing a one-on-one live, and he says, "Look, we got to bring in some more people. We got to bring in some creatives. We got to talk about our process." Jonelle thought of Tamika, and I'm going to introduce them formally in a minute. And also, my brother Samuel Medas is going to be coming on live as well soon, right? So we look forward to seeing Samuel later. So just some brief introductions, because I just got to do it right. So Tamika Henry Fraser, we go way back in our high school QC days, but today she's a phenomenal forensic scientist and founder of Curl Fete, the largest hair and beauty trade show in the Caribbean. So doing untraditional things compared to what people may have told her early on in her life and in her career, right? My brother Compton is I feel like a global artist at this point, right? Doing portraits for heads of states, government officials, diplomats, but he started just like all of us in a bottom house in the garage somewhere, right? So I guess my first question to you, maybe I'll start with you, Compton, tonight, is could you give us a sense of some of the key moments of your life that brought you to the point where you are in your life?
Key moments. Well, first of all, I really want to say it is good that we actually decided to have this forum.
Yeah.
And this is a life-changing forum because it would be for me and for those who are actually listening, because it actually would take us from one level to the next level.
Right.
But we cannot come to the future unless we go back to the past. So I remember, those years when we had those, what you might say, dream stealers, who might say, well, that is not possible. You're an artist, you're living in Guyana, and there's no scope. So that
Right.
would be like the current thing you would normally hear as a youngster. You're going to school and you get attracted to these cartoon type of things. So you gravitate towards that, and you start working through that until you realize your friends them realize that you have something that's very particular that they don't really have. So they really can't draw the diagrams.
Right.
They got to call something, and they hit you up and say, "Hey man, can you actually do one or two of these diagrams to me?" And then I realized I kind of have something here that these guys don't really have.
Right.
I can capitalize on it. So they kind of conform, that kind of talent that was there.
Right.
And luckily for my parents, they were very motivating. So my parents are not the parents who will say art doesn't make sense, but they actually see the sense in the thought and the talent, and decided to actually give me more motivation and more push to say. So I was more confident as to what I have and what I can do with it.
Right.
So yeah.
Good. How about you, Tamika? Going to the top school in the nation. I guess people were telling you doctor, lawyer, engineer all your life, eh?
Yeah, I think the expectation was definitely for me to be a doctor, and there was some point in my life where I felt like I wanted to be a doctor. And I think that every decision that we make is definitely a key moment, because all those decisions add up to really determine where you end up at the end of your journey. And so even the smallest decisions have an impact on where you end up. And I remember one of the most important decisions I made was at a time when I was trying to figure out what to study at university and really exactly which path I wanted to be in. And everyone was saying, go to Cuba, be a doctor, because at that time, the Cuban scholarships had not too long started up. And it was such a huge thing to be able to secure one of those scholarships. And everyone was, just go to Cuba, be a doctor, go to Cuba, be a doctor. And I think at that point, I realized that I didn't want to be a doctor, and that my path was going to be different. Even though you go to QC, you're in the science stream, that's the thing that you're expected to do. And then when I decided to do forensics, I didn't even know the proper name for forensics at the time. I didn't even know how to describe it, because I didn't have that much exposure being in Ghana to what it really was. But I knew what I wanted to feel when I was doing the job that I was doing. And I knew what I wanted to be able to achieve doing that job. And so I went to university not necessarily knowing exactly what to expect, but I knew that once I got the feeling, I would know that I'm in the right place. And thank God that eventually happened for me.
Right. So maybe Jonna, you could ask the next question.
I think this is very subjective, and it would be so cool to hear your own personal definition of what success is and how that has guided you through your process so far.
How do you define success, Compton?
I don't really think necessarily it has to deal with a bit money as per se, but when you realize what your purpose is, I think that kind of underline what will happen further concerning you being successful. Because if you do not understand what your purpose is, we will just be living life kind of careless and not really know where to go, what to do, how can I actually be purposeful with how I live my life and where I spend my money. So for me, it actually starts with purpose, and everything else fall in line with that. So you will become much more successful understanding what it is and working towards that.
Right. A lot of people struggle with that, you know. How do I find that place that I feel like I was created on the earth to do, right?
Yeah, correct.
And everybody, because of society's pressures, sometimes we don't realize that the things that everybody is praising us about, that we so good curling hair, or we so good talking, that's what they used to tell me. These are a lot of the gifts that we bring to the world that we kind of like just shove it to the side because we take it for granted, right?
Yeah,
but there's so many people who want that skill, that gift that you have, and envy it. And they're like, man, you know, why you're not scaling this to the next level, right? So it's one thing to know your purpose. Some people don't know the purpose. It's one thing to know your purpose. It's another thing to really acknowledge that purpose and actually believe that, you know what, I can kind of live off the income of my purpose, because that's most people concerned, right? How am I going to live? How am I going to pay bills, right? How about you, Tamika? How do you define success?
I think success for me is definitely a moving target. And I think that it evolves with you as you also go along your journey. And you never really get exactly there, but you keep working towards that. And when I think about success for me personally, there are always two words that come to mind. And those two words are impact and legacy.
Nice.
I think that being successful is having an impact. And it's having an impact in whatever area means the most to you. I like to say the thing that pisses you off the most, that's the thing you're supposed to fix. And that's the thing you're supposed to have your impact. And like Compton said, it doesn't have to be financial. It could just be whatever job you are doing. If you're somebody who, if you make great things with your hands, let your art to be your impact on the world. Or if you're somebody who's academically inclined and you're the greatest mathematician there ever was, let your mathematical theories have an impact on the world and how we change things. And then ultimately, to leave a legacy for other people to want to be able to either achieve or to overcome. And so I think once I would have made an impact in wherever I'm supposed to serve, and it leaves a legacy for when I'm not here, that to me would be my definition of being successful.
Wow, that was deep right there. That was deep all around, right? I heard John Maxwell say this before: leadership is influence, right? And a lot of people don't realize that their life is like a pebble in the ocean with a ripple effect, right? And what I love about what you just said about generations, you know, a lot of times we read the Bible, Compton, and we hear things like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but there's generations. We're talking about a passing on of a legacy, right? Through our family, through our community, and the outer realms of our society. I could think of all of you guys here who you may have come out of a small little town or a little village, but guess what? Now you're doing stuff internationally. You're doing stuff regionally in the Caribbean. You're doing stuff that's impacting your country, right? And the world at large. And that's just so powerful. And sometimes people don't believe that they can do that. But I believe everybody who's watching this, who's typing in the chat, who's interacting, guess what? You can do this too. So I want to go to some low moment points because it's about maximizing our moments, right?
Yeah.
And I want to find out,
Mhm.
give me an example of a low moment. It could have happened just last week, because sometimes people feel like because you sort of have acquired some success that you don't have low moments. I want you to think back of a low moment 10, 20 years ago. And how did you come out of that low moment? Anybody could go first. You go, Compton. Low moment.
Oh.
What's the low moment you ever experienced?
A low moment. I don't. It's kind of tough because I don't want to say it's kind of negative or it's kind of low. But I remember 2013, the last day of the year, December 31st. That was the last day I actually part ways with Giftland. So this is Old Year's Day. I part ways with.
What gift land for people who don't know?
Yeah.
Okay, Giftland Office Max. That was once on Water Street, the one of the number one Guyana departmental store. Not Martin
So
Giftland
for
here, but
people here, we're talking about he was working for Macy's.
right. So I partnered with Giftland 2013, and that transition was actually to move into my destined purpose, right? But what happened, I kind of moved into 2014 by faith, not knowing what I'd actually do next. It wasn't like everything was just planned. It was just, I felt deep inside me that, you know what, this is the time for me to transition and move. Just being obedient by that purpose driven will and the voice. So one part of my mind was like, bro, this is something that you just don't want to do. You know, you need to have a certain plan before you move on to the next step, right? But I kind of felt at that moment that this was a period to move. Now, in moving, I had some amount of transition and so on to be made, right? So I was like, man, I don't think this purpose might kick off immediately. So I kind of went through a mini drought trying to figure it out, but to still believe that the purpose will still take legs and fly. So I was very positive of leaving and that it will happen. And did I make a good deal or a bad deal today? I guess we all know the answer. Just being positive and staying rooted in what you believe in, and knowing that this purpose in terms of being an artist and fulfilling those dreams that you always have when you were little, that today it will actually take legs and fly. And so the answer is sticking with it. Whether it hits hard or you get knocked out, we got to go again.
You gotta
So,
get out.
yeah. I get accustomed to failure is not an option. Like you don't really rest anywhere. You hear it, but you just go through the other ear like it don't exist. So at that moment, although there is no job in 2014, January 4th, there's just a strong belief that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's there.
Wow.
Uncertainty.
Wow. So you were dealing with uncertainty.
Yeah.
You were
Big
dealing
time,
with
yeah.
the reality of this looks like a foolish decision, but I know what my dream is, and I gotta go after, and I gotta sell out to my dream. I like it that you're an artist because I hear you talking about taking legs and fly. So you gotta be an artist, right?
Yeah.
we
Making it impossible reality.
Right. We welcome in Sammy. Tamika, I'll come back to you on that point. So think about those low moments. So Sammy, we were just kind of asking everybody, people see the shine, people see the glory, people see Sammy jumping around on the stage now and making big hits and winning big awards in the region, top gospel artists and all sort of stuff. But, where was Sammy 10, 20 years ago? How did you get to this point? Tell the audience.
I was trying to make the West Indies cricket team.
That's it.
Yes.
As what, no, Sammy? A wicket keeper?
Didn't work out. Hey, focus. Okay, first of all, good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
I'm
night.
Good
happy
night.
to be a part of this prestigious and illustrious team of people tonight discussing maximizing the moment. Um, I was in the countryside, and I honestly believe that to be God. The Bible says he determined the bounds of our habitation. So I believe that that's where God wanted me to be, where He wanted me to be born and raised. So that environment of being away from the spotlight, being away from the hustle and the bustle of a city life and the glitz and glamour would give him time to really prepare me for what he wanted me to do in this season. And in hindsight, you appreciate um, what you went through, but when you're going through it, it's not good. Because I remember, really wanting the
Mhm.
break. I actually tried GT&T Jingle a Song competition. I didn't even make it into the second round. Um, and almost let that be the judge of whether I had what it took to make it. Because when man gives you a no, sometimes if you're not sure about what you're called to, when they give you a no, that can crush you. Um,
Mm.
so that almost crushed me because I was so confident that I had what it took at the time. Didn't get through there. And even when I started doing music, it was always so far and no more. Um, but the lessons I learned about timing, about humility, about waiting for the right connections and the right doors to open, and understanding that not every open door is an open door. Some doors really take you down a road that would derail you from destiny. And that was my life for probably 18, 19, 20 years before the
Wow.
Lord said, all
Mhm.
right, cool, come out to the back desert now. I ready. So and I find myself there a lot still, because what people think is glitz and glamour now is really minuscule compared to where God has already showed me that He wants to take me. So while people are wowed by this, I'm in the back part of the desert again. God is preparing me for where I have to go.
Mhm.
How about you, Tamika? We were talking about those low moments. So here, Sammy made a point where
Yeah.
he knew and believed deep down in his heart that he had what it took to win those competitions, but somebody said no, right? So he got knocked down.
Mhm.
What are the equivalent low moments in your life that you rebounded from, and what helped you to rebound?
Mhm.
I think I can relate quite a bit to what both Sammy and Compton would have said, in that there's a lot of uncertainty in the journey, and then there's a lot of pushback as well in the journey. I think for me, my low moments are still happening, but I'm trying to redefine them as teaching moments and not necessarily low moments. But one of the things that really stood out to me is that I had a very
Mm.
idealistic view of what I was going to be able to do once I came home to Ghana, and the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I learned very quickly and very harshly that even though you have a good idea, you have an amazing vision, and you can see the fruits of your labor, everyone is not necessarily going to see that. And then not only will they not see it, they're not necessarily going to embrace it or welcome it. And that is something that I had to learn, and I continue to learn every day, and really finding ways to navigate, getting people to be open to change, basically, and just welcoming new ideas and so on. And so usually whenever I get that kind of pushback, I feel dejected in that moment. I feel disappointed, and for a little while I don't always understand why the negativity is coming. If I'm giving you a list of 10 pros and you can't even give me one con, why am I still getting this kind of a pushback? But like I said before, everybody isn't going to see your vision, and they're not going to see the purpose and the outcome of it. And so when that happens, you have to really hold fast to what God has told you and what you know that your purpose is.
Wow. You know, I hearing so much truth, and we could relate, because here it is, you say that you're still going through that process, right? It's a daily overcoming
Yeah.
process. It's just like they talk about heartbeats that go up and down. It's an undulating surface. The topography of our life, is not a flat surface.
Yeah.
Things go up, things go down. It could be even yesterday. It could be 10 minutes ago. I was panicking and cut my finger before this live.
Oh.
Right? But guess what? We're here and we're here to share, right? So Compton, I want to hear now, how do you manage the balance?
Can I add to that just before we move on?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I attended the Bureau School of Arts, right? It's supposed to be a 4 years program, a diploma. And for some reason, things just didn't went well at the art school. Now people might say, oh, Compton, you're gifted in the arts and so on. But I never completed the Bureau School of Arts. I spent 2+ years there and things just weren't working right. So I had to make a decision because it seemed as though it wasn't really working for me. And I was like, if I leave, I will not get this diploma or the certificate, whichever one is the alternative. And if I walk, what will actually happen to me versus all my friends and, colleagues, artists, they're doing this stuff. And I'm thinking they're going to be way advanced and they're going to do whatever they're doing and become extraordinary, phenomenal artists, Guyanese artists. And I had to make a decision because it wasn't really working for me. I wasn't too sure if that was the place for me at that time. So I left the Bureau School of Arts. And, looking at my friends over the years who would have graduated, went on to university, further that, I wasn't the one who was in that path. So when you're talking about those low moments and downtimes, you're looking at them and you want to know if you actually made the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew, like seriously, I always knew, it's not being boastful or anything, but I always knew that the desire and the dream within was so much more than the people. And in some way, like I wanted to prove a lot of people wrong. Not that to be qualified is not it, but if you don't have a desire and a strong belief in what you believe in, and that dream and the destiny that has been set out for you, and this is way before I was even born, because Art had picked me and said, okay, Compton, come here, go manifest. So for me, it didn't really work. I guess I'm a miracle. I'm a miracle child. I didn't have no papers, but I still walk in faith and strong belief that this thing gonna happen. As I walked into the school and I was like, Compton, here what? You got work to do, and although you're not going to the school, you're gonna be doing your own self-study. All right? And you're gonna be, I'm speaking to myself, Compton, you're gonna be the best artist that didn't graduate over those who graduate. That was just my mindset, just to be good and to be disciplined at it as well, not carelessly just doing whatever, but I'm putting in my own work. I'm studying and I'm reading and I'm going to exhibition and observing. I was doing that. So I had, they had things that I didn't have, and I had something that they didn't have.
Right. I want to cut you slightly there because you're dropping a lot of nuggets, and we ain't getting to follow up on these nuggets. Right. So one of the things that you said is the discipline, right? Here it was, you didn't follow the traditional pathway. You didn't follow the traditional schooling, and nothing is wrong with traditional education, but you were on another educational path. It didn't have to be in a college building. You were in another course of educating yourself and putting in your time and perfecting your skill set. Right. So I just want us to talk quickly because we're running out of time. We don't want this conversation to be too long. Right. But I want to get a sense of what is your discipline and your attitude like. I want to cover those two things. Consistency, discipline, and attitude. Because there's a lot of people with gifting out there, but they're not either consistent or the attitude is not right. Right? So, Sammy, to you, and then I'm going to come back around.
Sure. I don't stop. Like, literally, I don't stop. I always on the grind, always putting in the hours and the work. Discipline concerning the craft. I don't cheat the process. I don't cheat the process. I don't look for the shortest way out. Just being humble and disciplined, just trying to make it right. Because I guess once I cheat it, I'll have to come back away around it again just to try to make it right. So I stick with the course and just be diligent and honest with my craft.
Right. How about you, Sammy? Attitude and consistent discipline. Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Sammy. You're on mute.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was saying I had to get delivered from my dependency on my charisma to get things done and realize that that is no substitute for excellence. I had to get delivered from procrastination. Because I'm
Amen.
the person, if you put me under pressure, I get things done, and that's when my creative juices flow. But I still had to learn that if you can do so well under pressure, imagine if you started from the beginning and really put in the work, how much this could have gone to another level. So I stay consistent, even when the pandemic hit. I stayed consistent. A lot of people hung up their mics, put it on the microphone stand, and walked away like, yo, this is the end of it. I gonna diversify, even though this is what they're called to do. Um, and I've always treated this like if I have no second option, and I always have a second option. But somebody said the other day in a group that I was in, they said if you have a plan B, you will end up using it. And so I always operate like there is no plan B, and this is the only option. And because of that, I have now tapped into markets in a time where this is the most uncertain time for people in the creatives, especially those that depend on large consumptions like events and stuff like that. But because of my consistency now, I still getting booked and I still performing because I never stopped from my living room or from wherever I am to people all around the world. And it's so interesting now because I'm finding out that the little bit money that we had to be as artists running down the promoters for after having sung 45 minutes on the stage, all the events are shut down, but now there are private people that are willing to pay for that 45 minutes that we sing on stage and pay double and triple. And
Mhm.
so we're now discovering that there's a whole new market opening up. Now, had I walked away and said, listen, man, I gonna try something else because this look like this is the end of my career for me, I would have never ended up where I am now. And so consistency is I think that's the most misunderstood and undervalued word um, on the road to success. That you keep pushing even when it's dark and when everybody has forsaken you. Because at the beginning, everybody tell you, yo, that's good. You started your business, that's good, man. Oh, you're doing something that nobody's never done before. I'm gonna support you. And people disappear halfway the journey
Word.
Mhm.
when things get
Yes,
tough
word.
and it's like nothing is happening for you. That's where you gotta keep pushing. Um, because you got to know what you are called to. You got to know what you want. And let's just throw this in because when people start talking, especially Tamika and Compton, they start dropping nuggets like you said. Um, you got to be careful to not start living other people's dreams because your dreams seem too difficult. A lot of people are living other people's
Mhm.
dreams
Come
because they
on, man.
seem more
Come on.
attainable than the passion that you have in your heart. Um, And so you die as a photocopy instead of being an original, and you rob people of
Ooh,
the pleasure of experiencing what is it that you were put on the earth to do. So
wow.
yeah, man.
Wow.
Mhm.
Don't want to die as a
Yeah.
photocopy. Stay an original.
Yeah.
Come on, Tamika. What do you say about
I'm definitely learning a lot from these two fellas tonight. They're definitely dropping a lot of knowledge, and I absolutely
you?
agree
You
that,
too.
you
You
know,
too.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
not to labor the points that they were making, but I just want to add that, I think it's important that you have to stay ready. You have to stay ready because you never know when that moment is going to come. You never know when that timing is going to come. And one of the reasons why I think Curlfed was so successful is because Curlfed had real good timing. Curlfed came at a time when the world was evolving and when we in Guyana, we were changing, and when women were being given platforms that they didn't necessarily have before. and they were now able to be more expressive. So I think it's important to just stay ready to, like, keep your eyes open for that particular moment. You also have to stay hungry and never get complacent. So that
Yeah.
complacency, it kind of goes with being consistent. You do have to stay hungry all the time. And I think one of the most important lessons that we all learned last year is that you have to stay versatile. You have to have whatever is your main purpose, but you have to be flexible with the frills, in the sense that you have to be able to be amenable to changes in what's happening around you, be able to take your business from a physical business to an online business, be open-minded to the changes that will inevitably happen around you. And I think we're seeing now the businesses that are being sustained are the ones that are able to adjust and to kind of roll with the tide, but keep their main underlying purpose. And I think those things added to the whole recipe with hard work and consistency and having your purpose really helps you to be successful in any environment in which you were placed.
Wow. And we talking about dropping nuggets, and she just dropped like five on us. Right? So we're gonna pivot out of this moment. And I just want you just to give your final thoughts to the audience, people who are coming out to 2020 where they were thinking 2020 means vision, 2020 means double all of these things, and then we got double licks, double trouble. And now people are rebuilding. Like you say, the people who were consistent all along, they were still building in 2020.
That's right.
And pivoting and getting ready for the next launch. So what would you say to any young person out there, any older person even, who might have thought, my dreams are done, it's over. How do I move forward? How do I pivot in these challenging times? What are your final words, Compton? Sammy, and then Tamika will close us off. Final words for anybody out there who might be discouraged or wondering about their dream.
This is not the first pandemic or major situation that's happened to us worldwide or in Guyana or personally. We've still had persons who made a difference and who came out and were still successful and they conquer.
Correct.
So the question is, why not you?
Right.
Why not me? Right? It's still possible. And instead of painting that negative perspective, there is always a good in every bad. If you practice that motto, there's a good in every bad, you see the perspective and you'll be able to execute excellent ideas in the midst of storm. So why not you?
Right.
Be encouraged, yeah.
That's awesome. Sammy, what would you say to the people out there to close off? On mute.
I want to share something that I learned last December, and that is to show up, to always show up, even when it's difficult. And sometimes half of the time showing up has nothing to do with you personally, but for the people that are looking on at you for inspiration, the people who are looking on at you because your steps inspire them. I remember talking to a friend who ended up talking to one of her customers, and you know, her customer was telling her how much her products really brighten her day and help to pull her out of depression. And here she
Wow.
is on the other side thinking, man, my business not making no sense. I feel like giving up. But hearing that what you do inspires others, that should be one of the gears that keep you turning. It might look like if you're not making sense, but people are looking on it. You have no idea how much people draw inspiration and courage and strength from what you do. So it's not just you, it's generational, it's perpetual. And the success that we share and take part in, it's not only for our consumption, but it's supposed to inspire others to come after us. So just remember, you're not in this race alone. You're pulling a whole generation behind you.
That's right.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That whole concept of service, that whole concept of legacy, that whole concept of paying it forward, that whole concept of selflessness. Because most of the times when we in our feelings, we're just being selfish. We're not thinking about how what we do could actually impact another life. Tamika, close us out. Final word for anybody.
You know, I think fear is a big man. You know, I think fear keeps a lot of us from achieving what we can achieve, and that fear typically comes from within. So there is something that I say to myself before I do anything, and I don't know where I heard, like how long ago I heard this, but since I was a child, I always say this Bible verse that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, of power, and of a sound mind. And I think in just those couple words, you're being told you have everything that you will ever need to achieve what you want to achieve. And if, for example, like for, you know, if you're not religious, you can just ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen if you try this thing? And
Correct.
usually it's not that bad. We're the ones that kind of build up these mountains in our minds and kind of keep ourselves from achieving certain things. So I think, you know, one of the first steps to really living in your purpose and being successful is finding a way to get over that inner fear that you have.
That's amazing. Man, I am so encouraged. I'm blown away. Jonel, what do you think about
I
this?
so psyched. I'm usually not this quiet. I, you know, have a ton of stuff to say, but I really soaked every single word, each and every one of you, that what you said this evening. For me particular, I'm at a critical juncture in my life, and I'm taking every single nugget in. I am not letting any of these jewels go to waste. So you've done exactly what we were hoping you guys would do tonight. And I just want to continue to encourage you that you guys are pioneers. I don't think you realize it. From our perspective, the inroads that you have made in your journey. So please be encouraged. Please keep on doing what you're doing. We are watching you. Yes, please. Thank you so much for all the pearls of wisdom this evening. This was amazing.
Wow. Thank you for our audience watching on all the various platforms. We're happy that you stayed with us for these 30 plus minutes. And I just wanted to give a little shout out as to how you could get in contact with some of these awesome people who you might not be following them on social media right now. But you can catch Tamika at tamika.henry.908, or just search for Tamika Henry, and she might come up. Tamika.henry.908 on Facebook. Her website is curlfetguyana.com, right? Curl as in here, Fete, Guyana.com. Compton Babb, my brother, Facebook is Compton.Babb, right? Compton.Babb. Samuel Medas, I feel like there's only one Samuel Medas in the world. So you're about to
Yeah.
search for that name on Facebook or Instagram, and all of his details will come up. We really appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We are rooting for you guys.
Yes.
Even out in the audience, we believe in you. Do follow us, Janelle and I, on YouTube mainly.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Family Life is our channel, Hey Fam Life. And we're going to be coming on and touching a lot of topics as a couple, because people look at us and they see the nice pictures, but they don't understand the process. So we're going to be opening up some stuff and really talking through, you know, how do we fight on a daily basis and keep going. I feel led to just say a quick word of prayer for you guys and everybody else viewing, because I feel this is a power moment. People don't know who are watching this, but this came together in 24 hours, right? Where, somebody said we should do this, and we just met up and did it, right? So let's pray really quickly. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time with these wonderful lives. We thank you for your purpose for everyone watching. We thank you, oh God, that you have divine intent, deliberate purpose, and assignment for everyone who's watching this and viewing this, God. God, we pray that you strengthen each of us to stay faithful, to stay steady, and have faith, even when we don't see, just to know that your intent for us is good and not evil, and you have an expected end for us. You're going to make all of these mishaps, all of these valley moments, and you're going to be able to make us into the best person that you created us to be. So God, give us the strength, give us the power, and maybe meet again soon, safely in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless y'all, man. Thanks
Yeah,
so
bless
much for
you.
being on.